is, once we start talking about race, then we bind into there is a tradition in Europe that equates skin color with intelligence, which it ranks as one of the all-time dumbest ideas ever created by human beings. And that, it doesn't compute as a reality. But for me, I have a couple of points of reference to this question, and I get asked about it all the time, and I truly understand the challenge of dealing with African spirituality from someone who has an appearance of a European. I get it. The atrocities are unspeakable, really. But the first thing I want to say is the science of DNA. If you look into it, the science of DNA and the genome has determined that everybody alive today, everybody is the descendant of a single East African woman. That means it's not possible to be alive on Earth today and not have African ancestry. Well, people don't want to hear that. They don't want to acknowledge it. They don't want to believe it. Ancestors to specific people in Egypt in ancient times. My ancestry is Transylvanian, which is a group it's an area that used to be in Hungary. Now it's in Romania. The origin story of Transylvania is that it was set up as a colony for Egypt, a mining colony. There's good historical evidence for that. I can't say that's true, absolutely, but it appears to be true, and certainly my family believed it. My family traces its origins to the wife of a pharaoh named Shikmet, and there's 26 what's called dragon families in Transylvania who, let's say, were part of the hereditary priesthood and the hereditary monarchy. My ancestral name is Phineas, which in the indigenous language of Transylvania means bringer of light, which is virtually identical to the idea of Ifa's medium of Elah, spirit of light. But to answer your question very, very specifically, traditional Ifa, as it's practiced in Yoruba culture in Nigeria today, is based on the idea that our spiritual leader is the Oni of Ile Ife. Oni of Ile Ife would be sort of like the king of the Yoruba nation, but it's not king based on the Western model. But in any case, the Oni of Ile Ife among traditional Yorubas living in Africa is considered and is treated as the unequivocal elder of Ifa Orisha religion. And in the mid-90s, I don't remember the exact date now, but a group of Americans went to the Oni of Ile Ife and asked him to expel me from the religion and to excommunicate me, mostly for the reasons that you've covered in the concerns expressed in this email. And the Oni of Ile Ife made it very, very clear that Ifa is a global religion with no restrictions. And that's what he told people. He refused to excommunicate me, and I don't know what else to tell you other than that's part of the structure of the faith. I will say this, you kindly referred to me as Baba, and that's certainly endearing, and I appreciate it, but I've never called myself Baba. I've certainly never called myself Babalawo.
I cannot hear.
You can't hear? I had you on mute. You can't hear?
I can't hear. That's where my go.
No, you might need to leave and come back.
Let them see you do this.
I think you got your video on what you call. I'm sorry about that, Baba. But you know what? The people on YouTube, I did not have YouTube activated when I did my intro. I don't know why. but it was only Facebook, so I'm going to have to like kind of reintroduce what we're talking about to the people on YouTube because they might not be aware of the subject of what I'm talking about. Real quick, Ivan, while we're doing that, get your camera ready. I'm going to bring that back up again because I really want to make things clear. Listen,
If you guys could hear me, I cannot hear you.
Okay, you're gonna have to leave and come back. Can you see us? Hold on, if you can see us, I'm gonna say.
Oh my Lord, what is going on with my phone?
Anyways, while we're doing that, I'm going to show this real quick because I really want to just address this. I don't like that. I think it's kind of rude. You know, I mean, I get it that people have their own opinions. But for us to be trying to do the work of like actually healing people and trying to heal the world, not only that, but and have the right we have the right intentions on what we're trying to do. For people to only be focused on race, to me it just seems like you're not even getting
ritual class. I want to tell them specifically.
Okay, I can't hear you guys.
Right, you got to leave and come back. I hope you can see us. If you can see us, you got to come back.
Let's see.
Let me find this again. I'm sorry.
That definitely wasn't the right thing to do.
Today, here we go. Now I found it. Right.
There's a couple of people here that have prepaid for the ritual class. I want to tell them specifically that I want to give them the access codes. Right.
All right, here we go. What is that? Now I can't hear you. Are you talking, Baba? I can't hear you, Baba.
Come back in.
Your voice is low, really low.
I'm gonna go out and come back in.
Now I can hear you. Now I can hear you. Say something.
Hello.
Okay, now I can hear you. Okay, now let's go. Where we're gonna go? All right, so let's go into this. I got like a text email from this young lady, and I appreciate anyone who comes to my channel to watch Baba. But this is what the text that she sent. This is a comment that she made. Okay, and I get it. Everybody's gonna have their own opinion. I'm not downing anyone for their opinion, but I just really wanted to take the time out to let's just have some understanding, right? So she says, I really don't understand how Europeans are in this space. Do our ancestors truly approve this, or are Africans chasing money and training anyone? I truly am asking because I honestly don't understand how they can call upon our ancestors after all the atrocities of their ancestors upon ours. The most horrific crimes that have gone unaddressed. As an African American who's had to struggle to find my lineage and to find it, they are teaching as a Baba. Jesus, I truly don't understand how they're in this space. I can't do it. Personally, it's very strange to me. I feel like we can't have anything, not even our ancestors. Please, someone explain how this works. I'm asking for answers. I don't understand, right? So what I said to her, my response is that, Ifa is a global, it is not just a local tradition. It is a religion. It also is a divination practice, and it's people are in Japan practicing Ifa. They're practicing the Ifa in Asia, in different parts of the world. So it is not just only being practiced in America or in Africa. It's being practiced in Cuba. It's being practiced all over. Okay. It is just like Hinduism. I saw a white person that's practicing in the Nation of Islam. Here's the thing. There are these things have become a global thing, And so when I wanted to talk about was lineage, because I think that people don't understand about lineage. When they talk about Ifa, when they talk about these spiritualities, the conversation of lineage gets brought up. And that's where Baba was talking about his lineage in ancient, connected to ancient Egypt, connected to the Transylvania. Were Transylvanians even slave owners?
Well, certainly not in the United States. Both my great grandparents came to the United States during the Civil War. They worked as doctors at the Battle of Gettysburg, and they were given medals for performing literally 1,000 or more amputations. There's no history in my family of slave ownership. And in fact, Transylvania is part of the Slavic portion of Europe, because the people in that region were held as slaves by other regions in Europe. So, that history goes around back and forth.
I think that what happens is that when people see white, they think that all white are the same. That the white is just a blanket thing. They see a white skin, and that's all they can think about is this group of people that did this thing. And the bottom line is that there's people all over the world that have a lighter skin tone, that are white, that are there's people that could pass. There was black people passing for white. So you never know exactly who you're talking about when you immediately just jump to a judgment on someone's lineage and where they might have came from. So Baba's here. He's telling us about what his background is from Transylvania, being a Egyptian colony at some point, that and his background, and that's where we want to get into lineage and really break it down from a Orisha and we're going to use this ignorance as a teaching point. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, listen, let me briefly cover what we've covered before. I'm not sure how much of that got recorded, but I certainly understand that people of European descent have done a terrible job, or almost a non-existent job, of trying to atone for the sins of slavery. And I do think the karma's real, and not dealing with that has consequences. So, we need to deal with that. I've spent many years trying to find common ground to begin to engage in that conversation. I have to say, it's been challenging. I can't say it's been overly productive, but I'm certainly open and ready and willing to have that. I do know that the Oni of Ile Ife, who's the leader of Ifa Orisha religion, has said that the tradition is open to everybody. I was trying to remember the exact quote he said. He said, Jesus brought Christianity to Africa, and Arumila brought Ifa to the world. That was his position on that, which I thought was quite astute and to the point. It's also true, in my opinion, that the science, well, it's not my opinion, the facts are there. The science of DNA says that everybody on Earth today is the descendant of one African woman, and I believe 7 different African men. So everybody has a link to Africa. There's no way around it. It's just the planet we live on. That's the nature of things. We don't all look African, and that's true. And so really, ultimately, the question becomes, how much importance are we going to give to the idea of looking African? I know that my biological ancestors, many of them were from Egypt. Egypt is a part of Africa. Africa was predominantly black too, so I'm not even trying to say Egypt was necessarily anything other than African, but I do know that I have specific ancestors from Egypt, and also my family lineage is from a village in Transylvania called Arad. There's also an Arad in Israel. Arad, Israel was the place where the Egyptian priest, when they left Egypt after Alexander the Great, they migrated to Arad, and then they formed a link with Arad, Transylvania. If you see on the map, it actually makes sense. The two cities are in a straight line. But the the bigger issue and the question that would resolve a lot of that is it's really clear to me that humanity goes back hundreds of thousands of years, and that the progress we've made as human beings has been reversed a couple of times through natural disaster. The last time there's clear evidence that we had a flood about 12,000 years ago, which really did a lot to destroy the evidence that there was a global culture at that time. And that, in fact, the principles that we see in Odu Ifa, we find them in Egypt, we find them in Jewish culture, we find them in Latin America, we find them literally in every culture on the continent of Africa, and we also find them in Europe. So these are universal principles we're talking about. And I think certainly in the Ifa community that the Baba Ogun Bbemi are part of is multicultural, and we do, I think, engage in multicultural dialogue about our background, our ancestors, and the different streams of wisdom that we bring to the table to try and have a broader perspective on how to thrive in the world. I think there's so much emphasis on divide and conquer and being upset with each other that I'm all for being a little more compassionate and understanding and safe. But I understand people's objection. I've never tried to I don't proselytize. I was blessed to study in Africa, and I don't ever talk about that unless someone asks me. It's not like I'm trying to impose my will. I'm not trying to present myself as an authority. I simply say I've had these experiences. I've been blessed to study with good people in Africa and elsewhere. If you're interested in me sharing that with you, I will. If you're not, we can still be friends. I don't know that it has to be a bit of. It doesn't need to be any contention in that, in my opinion. Although not everybody agrees with me. So I don't know. Yeah, does that answer your question? Maybe, I hope.
Yes, I know. I wanted brother Ogun Baby to speak.
Well, what I was going to say is, I don't believe that the young lady, I'm not familiar with the young lady. I don't know if she has any knowledge, but any knowledge about our culture. One of the leading things is that Ifa has no judgment. You can't go in and say, hey, this person has no business studying, or hey, this religion is not right, or hey, this culture is not doing the things. That's a red flag right there to indicate that you're divided in yourself. And one of the main things that this system teach you is alignment with yourself, with your destiny. And you become self-reliant to fix your own problems, not doing your best to point fingers at other people and fix their problems. You fix your own problems. And if you fix your own problems, it becomes magnified within you to where it touches other people outside of you. They want to know, what did you do to fix your problems? So that's what I have to say about people that say Europeans, any other nationality. I don't care, Chinese, whatever. They have. If you have something negative to say about them, then you don't understand the spiritual principle. Period. Is to bring balance to yourself and to the world.
Yeah, I think the notion that it's all right to judge a culture is why we had a war in Iran. I mean, the notion that people from Iran wanted to destroy America is just silly. But enough people believed it that we went to war. And, at some point we need to maybe consider the fact that we're a global community, that we're all human, that we all bleed red blood, and that we all experience the same emotions. And to use that as a basis for figuring out a better way to get through the day. That's my feeling on all that.
And it's interesting that we're talking about a lot of things when it comes down to lineage and stuff like this, because in Ifa they do have a thing called lineage. They have a thing called lineage, and when you are initiated, you have your specific lineage. is it, you are then a part of that family, that family takes you in, and you are now, they are your god parent. And Ogun Baby made a good point, is that okay, remember you said what you were saying earlier, you have to repeat it because I didn't have YouTube up when you were saying it. I forgot to like connect YouTube. Repeat what you said earlier. uh,
Just a few minutes ago.
yeah, when you talked about like the possession aspect.
Oh well, if you really understand another aspect of what Ifa teaches, it teaches you the ability to be possessed with your ancestors, or possessed with certain energies, so you can do the necessary tasks to keep yourself aligned. So if people are saying that a group of folks are soulless, then what about, if they are soulless, then seem like they would be a perfect candidate for being possessed with your ancestors to do the necessary things that are needed to help you in this life. Food for thought. So if you understand Ifa, then you know that that's what we do. We do Rokis to call about certain energies for alignment. Okay.
If you, Ashe, so listen, that idea, I'd like to introduce some concepts. If you're not familiar with my work, I'm really big on defining liturgical Ifa words. I believe that Yoruba culture means what it says and says what it means. And a lot of people are making stuff up by mistranslating Yoruba language, and that's a disservice. I actually think it's immoral and shameful and offensive and inappropriate, but that's a different conversation, I suppose. But we in the West, we're familiar with the idea of reincarnation, and the idea that if we're a bad person, we'll reincarnate as a goat or a pussycat or a dog or something. In Ifa, the word for reincarnation is Otunwa, from the Elysian Otun Iwa, meaning the coming from the right. So the word Iwa coming means spirit coming from the ancestral realm to the physical realm, and coming to the right meaning coming for the idea of elevating our consciousness. So Ifa teaches that reincarnation happens within family biological lineage. We're either born to our mother's family or our father's family. And at the naming ceremony, when a child is born, it's determined which side of the family the baby comes from. And it's not, you don't come from, if you talk to people about reincarnation, everybody claims to be either a reincarnation of Cleopatra or Alexander the Great. Well, I'm pretty sure everybody can't be a reincarnation of those two people. So there might be some misunderstanding there. And Yoruba names reflect, in many cases, which ancestor you're being possessed by, so to speak. So, and what that means is, from a spiritual point of view, Ifa teaches that our first moral obligation is to elevate our lineage. It's not about us. It's not about winning the lottery. It's not about finding your soulmate. It's about elevating your lineage and making sure that none of the trauma that is held within the lineage goes unresolved. Listen, here from a scientific point of view, DNA holds memory. Now, most people haven't heard that or realized that, but the latest research in DNA shows that we hold the memory of our ancestors going back 17 generations. So Ifa has the technology for unlocking those memories. But ultimately, Ifa teaches, I can't tell you how to relate to your ancestors. You can't tell me how to relate to mine. Your ancestors might want the Quran on the altar. They might want the Bible. They might want a statue of Buddha. It doesn't matter. That's between you and them. And there's no way, me or any Ifa priest has no right to tell you how to relate to your ancestors. That's a family commitment, a family discipline, I call it, a family obligation, and a family-based ritual. So What I can tell you is I can
That's
tell
well
you.
said.
Thank you. We thank the ancestors for having made that clear. But what the ancestors have taught me and what my elders have taught me is that there's certain things you can do to unlock ancestral memories. And there's very specific, what we call Reiki or invocations to invoke that, and they will, right? I have to say my paternal grandfather, literally, he was a medical doctor and an amazing healer beyond Western medicine. He saved my life twice after he transitioned. I mean, he literally manifested and gave instructions, and here I am, you know. So that connection is extremely valuable in my humble opinion. But in terms of the karmic implications, the easiest way to look at that is hurt people is a common phrase in healing. So if you come from a family of alcoholics, if you come from a family where incest is prevalent, child abuse, sexual abuse, any of those really traumatic childhood experiences, your first obligation as somebody who's experienced those things is to make sure that those experiences do not pass on to your children or the next generation of any members of your family, right? So at a very early age, I was a survivor of ritual sexual abuse. And if anybody that knows me knows that I'm a fierce, vocal, unapologetic, and unrelenting advocate for protecting children. I think we're going through that now big time with the cover-ups in Washington, which are beyond obscene. You know, we've got a Justice Department that wants to prosecute a former FBI director for playing with seashells in the sand at the beach, but refuses to take statements from any of the victims of the cabal on the Epstein Island. I mean, I can't even compute that as being reasonable. But anyway, so I want to add, so Otunwa is important in that, but yeah, you brought up a good point. When you get initiated, you become a part of the lineage of your family, right? So a group or family is called Egbe in Yoruba. And what's often misunderstood, Egbe is the family of the people that initiate you. Absolutely, it has that meaning. But Egbe also has the connotation of the family of all the ancestors of everybody who initiated you. You know the term as above, so below. So I can call the names of all the ancestors in my African lineage that go all the way back to the Prophet Arumia. That's an amazing connection to tradition, history, and family. But that connection has real implications. You know, my Baba, when he initiated me, he realized that there was no teachers of Ifa at the time. This is 40 years ago, where I lived. So he connected me to a Egbe of Awos in our lineage who, when you do certain invocations, they answer your questions. They are part of the teaching process. You can get them to show you how to do things. And you know, there's a danger in that of becoming just made up nonsense. But the proof is in the pudding. You go to the ancestors, you tell them how to do something, you're clear about what that thing's supposed to accomplish, and when it accomplishes that thing, you can be fairly clear that you're hearing clearly. All right. So the connection to spirit as a medium is known as Egungun in Yoruba language, another word that is unfortunately greatly misunderstood. People will say, oh, I want to connect to my Eguns, plural. You only have one Egun. And that Egun is the collective spirit of all your ancestors. Egun, singular, not plural. The word Egun from the Lineage and Ogun, meaning the medicine of the bones. So the word Egun refers to all the genetic inheritance that is locked into your DNA that allows you to have communication with everybody in your lineage. So the medium for the Egun is called Egungun, which is from the Lineage Ogun Ogun, which means it's kind of redundant here, but it's the medicine of the bones, which means the medicine is here a reference to the ability to go into possession. All right, Egungun. So Egungun is the word for medium for the collective spirit of your ancestors. But where we get confused is if you want to talk to Uncle Fred or Aunt Sally, that's not an Egun. Let me say that again for all our Ifa Orisha practitioners that are working on trying to understand the Yoruba language. Uncle Fred is not an Egun. Uncle Fred is Ara Oron, meaning body in the ancestral realm. So we do have specific ancestors. We do have ways to talk to them. And we also have collective ancestors, and we have ways to speak to that collective spirit. So in terms of being effective at the rituals we're doing, we need to be clear which is which ones we're engaged in, and which ones we want to speak to. And where this becomes really, really clear, in my humble opinion, the Yoruba word for destiny is Ayanmo. The word Ayanmo means my Ayan tree. Ayan tree is the tree where Shango hung himself, if you know that story, in shame for having made a serious mistake. But Ayanmo means my ancestral tree. My destiny is my connection to my ancestral tree. And you know, one of the more prominent, but not the only ancestral drum is the Bata drum, which based on a mispronunciation of Yoruba are said to be made from the Anya tree. There's no such thing. Excuse me. What do they call it? They call it the Anya. The Anya. Anya. They call it the Anya tree. It's Ion tree that they use to make the Bata drums is the tree that is used as an ancestral shrine in traditional Yoruba culture. So the imagery there, in my opinion, is extremely clear.
My apologies, Bob. I'm traveling.
Right.
But I really enjoyed the part that you were elaborating on about the home and about who you're initiated to and how that becomes your lineage and how the things that go on in there when it comes down to how you represent your lineage is between you and your lineage. Right. And unfortunately, that's where a lot of people are not getting the whole totality of what some people will call Egungun initiations, where you're getting initiated into something that you already initiated into, which is your family, and it's meant to make an awareness of that you can tap into any source of your family lineage that will benefit you to elevate so you can break generational curses.
Right.
And I have a question too about the Egun too.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
Because when we talk about Egun and your family, do you think that because I from what I heard is that in Africa there is a priesthood called Egungun, and that is its own priesthood. It's just like you would have an Orisha. If you get your Orisha, you would also have an Egungun, priest, right? And so, do you believe that in America, because a lot of people do come through Egungun initiation first, and then they go off into Orisha. Do you believe that has become because of the fact that we've never had any rites of passage in America? So that seems to be the way that we kind of tend to like go that direction, Egungun, and then.
Listen. You have two questions there. There's a ritual practice question and there's a sociological question. Let me go back to the way Egungun priesthood functions in traditional Yoruba culture. Every biological family has one Egungun priest who is the voice of the ancestors for that biological family. Now, we're not that unified in the diaspora. We have very few families that are a part of our communities in totality. There's a lot of conflict among Ifa practitioners with their families who believe in Jesus. It's a serious problem. It causes a lot of difficulty and complications with regard to the effort to reclaim the traditional role of Egungun. So in traditional Yoruba culture, there's an Egungun Day, and all the families bring out the medium. The mediums for Egungun wear costumes that cover them from head to toe. You can't see who it is. It's taboo to know who the medium is. The belief is that medium becomes that ancestral link for that day and not a human representative of a biological person necessarily. And it's really interesting because certain families have long histories of contention. So when the Eguns bump into each other on the street, they'll start physically fighting. So people have to separate them and keep that element safe, let's call it. But there's most of them get along and it's all fine. But it's a day to honor the different components, and usually families organize around. There you go, perfect. Yeah, there's Egun fighting actually. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. A family usually has a family business. So if you're an Ogun priest and in an Ogun family, that's typically a blacksmith. And so all your ancestors were blacksmiths. So you would use the connection to Egun to make sure that you have reclaimed and are knowledgeable and have all the information you need to be an effective blacksmith. And so, and beyond that, I wanted to share with the fact that my Baba connected me with a specific Ifa priest. It's been a remarkable connection, and it's been very easy to access that information. But here's the key point about Egbe, in my humble opinion. There were at least 4 occasions when I was doing healing work, when I was in over my head, and I thought, oh my God, I'm in trouble. I can't fix this problem. I need help. I don't know what to do. And the minute I had that thought, the man who initiated me showed up in the room. Just look like I'm looking at Baba Ogun Bbemi right now. He showed up. I could see him clearly. As soon as he showed up, the person in crisis chilled out, and I was able to move forward. That happened to me 4 times. 2 of those times it happened while the Arabah was still alive, and 2 of those times it happened after he transitioned. So that's a universal phenomenon. That's the nature of the reality that we live in, that is profoundly not understood in the Western world. It's not even understood that well within our own communities, so that we're making full access to it. So I believe that there's things that we can learn from each other about how to access that level of connection. I call it quantum entanglement. Quantum entanglement is symbolized by this. So there's a reason why I wear it on my robe. Everything's connected to everything. Everything is part of Egbe. The word Egbe literally means everything. Ogbe from the Legion Egbe means the spirit of everything. Ogbe, the first Odu in our oral scripture, is the sign for the notion of connecting with higher self and destiny. So these ideas are all interrelated, interactive, and important to understand. Baba, I'm going to give you the talking stick. Those were the points I wanted to make for today. I know you had. I'm sorry, you had a question?
Before you go, so let's get back to Egungun real quick.
Yeah.
Egungun, are they also the police of the community? From what I heard, that they dress up in that and they're the police.
No,
that's the masquerade in general. Is it a masquerade separate from the Egun?
No, there are 2. Not the Egun. The Ogun Egbe are like the night watchmen. In traditional Yoruba culture, it's taboo to enter a village in the rural areas after sundown. If you try, you likely won't survive. Now, they've lightened up on that a bit because that's just the nature of things. But the Ogun society are like the night watchmen. They also the enforcers of laws or the Oro Society. If you're caught molesting a child, Oro will arrest you, try you, convict you, and execute you all on the same day. So they're pretty vigorous in their approach to that particular problem. Ogun, there is an Ogun. I don't. Okay, so there's an Ogun that we can call the boogeyman. And mothers in Ode Ramos say, if you don't behave, the boogeyman will come and get you. And once every few months, an ancestor, a person dresses up in an Ogun masquerade costume that's made from nails tied to a string. I mean, it's really strange, you know. And when that Ogun knocks on the door, you answer the door with your back to it and offer it money. And if that Ogun sees children together, it'll chase it with a stick, symbolizing, the idea of you need to behave. So that you can call that police, but it's that particular spirit only comes out once or twice a year. It's really not part of the cultural enforcement process.
I say, Bob, I'd like to add to that. Traditionally, our people, if you're from Louisiana, we have a thing of saying to folks, if they disrespect us or they do us something, I ain't worried about it. I'm gonna put the goons in their life, and that's where that comes from. Understanding
Absolutely.
that. Say again.
And then the Oro Society in Louisiana, you could identify them. You know what their phrase was?
No, sir.
Oh yeah, we took Edgar fishing, and he didn't. He didn't make it back home. Sorry.
Indeed.
Remember that phrase? We took him
Yes.
fishing. That's what that meant.
So if you ever hear somebody tell you that they're gonna put the Oguns in your life or the goons in your life, that's where that statement comes from.
Absolutely, and it's not always understood, but yeah, there's definitely cultural retentions. I know that to be true. Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, what was it that I'm sorry?
So those are not. So the Ogun that do the masquerade are not the ones that police the community. They're more there when they do come to tell, because they do get possessed, and they do tell the community. They'll go to certain people and tell them what they need to do, or they might tell you certain stuff like you need to do this.
Yes. They have a number of functions. One function they have that we don't do in America at all, I don't think, is the Ogun societies will come together and reenact significant historical events. And people will believe that they're transported back in time to that event. And they'll receive the blessing of the consequence of that event. And so there's a dramatic element that's related to teaching. There's certainly the idea of receiving information from the ancestors, also cleaning from the ancestors. You see these, that's the Ogun costume there. That's a good picture of it. It's taboo for anybody to touch the costume because it'll put them in possession for sure. And that's more than you want to deal with usually. So these people, see the guy in the white there with the red hat? He's making sure no one touches the Oguns and making sure they're staying separate and guiding them and making sure the Oguns that may not get along keep separated. So it's kind of an elaborate process.
So when you say Oguns that don't get along, that means there's certain families that don't get along with each other?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. There's long histories.
Families that hate each other or they got
let's call it family feud.
So it might be certain Ogun that dress up and they get to bumping with each other, like going. Yeah. Wow.
And they don't play either. They start wailing. So people are conscious of which Oguns don't get along, and they keep them separate.
Wow. And so they must know that, okay, this particular color of that what you would say, would it be Egbe?
Egbe, yeah. The people on each Egbe, each family has their own costume, and the color of those costumes have symbolic meaning on them. Some of them, see those squares on the hat? You see that? Those squares are like, oh, maybe not. Okay, so yeah, the panels. See the panels here? Yeah. That writing on there is indicative of historical events in the life of the family. let's see, this guy might have some too. Some of them have it, some of them don't. But it's typical to have events in the life of, like I shared earlier that two of my ancestors fought for the North in the Battle of Gettysburg. So that would be a panel on an Egun costume. Somebody saw images of those two doctors and what they did. So whatever significant events happen in the life of a family, the costume is kind of like the container for that memory.
So here's a question: like, do they when do they like sit down, and do they sit down and tell you what's going on, or they just walk up to you and be like, hey, you need to do this?
It's a little of both. Listen, the costumes are kept in a shrine room, and they're kept out without a person in it. So when you go to an ancestor shrine, you will see the costume. So on certain days, there's an Egun festival. And also, for whenever I go to Ode Raymond, take someone to be initiated, the Egun for the Egbe comes out and speaks to the initiate very clearly, right? And, it's kind of a big deal. So it happens. There's different contexts for that. There's the ancestor greeting you in the street and talking to you, and then there's you going to the shrine, and then there's inviting the ancestor to speak at specific ceremonies. So there's more than one methodology.
So this is the actual Egun festival, what it looks like, and
absolutely, yeah.
That looks like, I mean, it's pretty. Looks like it's pretty involved. Like it's really colorful and beautiful. Like it looks amazing.
Right, and the thing that's amazing is the Egun ceremonies in traditional Yoruba culture. The people that participate in that are Ifa, Orisha, Christian, and Muslim. The Christians and the Muslims still carry the tradition of Ifa ancestral reverence. It's very strange, and it was hard for me to wrap my brain around it. But these are all not necessarily Ifa or Orisha people, and that's part of the tradition.
Right. So some of them just might be Egun. They might dress up as Egun for their family, but they just might be a Muslim or a Christian, but they hold their tradition in their family. This is a family lineage thing that happens. And
Absolutely.
if you initiate through a particular family, then that Egun becomes your Egun as well.
And I have seen traditional Yoruba ancestor shrines with Bibles on them, with the Quran on it, with pictures of the Buddha, with Hindu icons. I've also seen ancestor shrines in Yoruba culture with Congolese.
Fight right there. They're about to get into a fight right there.
Are they?
They're fighting.
See,
starting to fight. Okay, so yeah, it gets a little bit aggressive out there, with this.
Yeah, there you go.
They about to getting into it. They got the fighting right there. I was like, They started. Okay, it was starting to get a little bit hectic. But yeah, so you were saying like they go ahead. I'm sorry. I was like, hey, wait a minute. I don't want to show you.
That's right.
But yeah, go into it. What you were saying? I'm sorry.
No, that was all. I'm just saying that there's different contexts for the use of the Egun masquerade ritual component to Ifa spiritual practice. I'm sorry. I know
somebody was asking, how can I set up a reading with the Awo Falokun? And I showed him the study center.
Tell him inbox me at Awo Falokun.
Yeah, if you are on Facebook, if you go to Awo Falokun, his Facebook, and go into does it charge? Is a charge for a reading?
All I heard is
I could say it.
Really say it again.
Say it. No, you say it again because you cut out the end. You said all I heard was.
Repeat that again.
Yeah, listen. Let me make this easy.
I'm traveling, and all I heard was a robot just talking. So Can you repeat that again?
No, somebody was asking, how does he get a reading from Awo Falokun?
There's my Facebook address, Awo Falokun. Also, I have a group page called Ifa and Orisha Community. If you punch that up, you can ask to join. It usually takes a day to let you come in. But Ifa Orisha Community. Also, I have a school that just opened up this week. The school has 9 lectures on divination, how to do divination. The lecture series is free. You can get access to that free course at this address. Also, at the same address, there's a 25 lecture course on how to do Ifa Orisha initiations. I cover how to do Ogun initiation, Ebora, which is sometimes called the Warriors Orisha, Ifa, and Iami, and Odupat. You can learn how to do all those things in a single course. The course.
Okay, let's try that again. What was the question?
I asked if you.
He answered it already. He was trying to get he was trying to find out how to get a reading.
My sound quality is horrible. Can you guys hear me clearly?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly. Yep,
we're good. Yeah, let me tell the person that asked about divination. Let me just finish that, and then I'll turn it over to you, Baba. I don't charge for divination, so just call. The fee for divination.
You about to get overloaded with calls now.
I know, but let me qualify that. The fee for divination is you need to donate food to a homeless person. All right.
Right.
And here's the address for the school. Now I know you had something you wanted to talk about today, Baba. What was it? I forgot.
Wow. The question was about possession, about the importance of possession being taught more in the culture, and why it has become a taboo, why people are afraid of it, and not really truly realizing that they are walking around possessed every.
Hey, listen.
With your entire lineage.
Listen, I'm going to make a suggestion. Can I make a suggestion? Let's discuss that topic next Friday when Ivan's in a stationary position, and let's call this a class for today. We've been here for over an hour. Can we do that, Ivan? Can you talk to us next Friday?
I did not understand anything you just said, Baba.
Exactly.
Repeat that.
Yes.
We have a question. What is possession?
We will discuss that next Friday. Did he understand me?
All right, but can you give us a small breakdown, real quick, of possession and like?
Yes, possession is an altered state of consciousness. Because of quantum entanglement, we can separate our personal consciousness from our physical body and use that vessel to connect to other forms of consciousness. That's the great gift of Yoruba culture to the world. They've got very specific invocations, resonance, and frequencies that allow us to do that easily, allow us to move in and out of that state without a lot of trauma and upset. And the point is that we go into altered states to access information that's outside of our personal experience. And so that becomes a great resource in terms of knowledge, understanding. I think one of the great mediums in our country today is Terrence Howard, who's definitely channeling ancient African paleo science in a way that is really illuminates our sacred scripture. I think he's been vilified a lot, but to me, he's really a voice of spirit. And, there are many, many others. he's come to mind. A lot of people know him and know who he is and have identified his behavior as strange. It's not. It's normal in terms of the context of altered states of consciousness. And, the great, for those who are familiar with the great inventions of Nikola Tesla was a medium. He was a friend of my grandfather's. He channeled all that stuff. He made over 500 inventions, and every one of them was a first draft. He just sat down and wrote it. You don't do that unless you're connected to some higher form of consciousness, in my opinion.
People will say that they get these things called downloads. So do you think that is a form of possession, or do you think that that's
it's a form of possession? Absolutely. But Nikola Tesla said, somebody asked him, Nick, how'd you get all these brilliant ideas? He said, every invention I've ever come up with was given to me by the spirit of a pigeon.
The spirit of a pigeon?
That was his answer. That's what he said. And he fed the pigeon, and it lived on his windowsill in his apartment. He said, this is where the information comes from.
And you know what? And let's get into. So this is where we're going to get into what brother Ivan or brother Ogun Bbemi, where he gets into psychology, because I wanted to talk about mental health and possession, schizophrenia, bipolarism, different aspects of what they would call mental health, having hallucinations, the DMT experience. Are those all like forms of possession?
That's a good question. Let me just answer it briefly by saying possession and regression look familiar. Possession is an elevated experience. Regression is a return to an earlier part in our lifetime when we went out of our body to avoid trauma, and we have unexpressed emotion trapped in our body, which causes huge problems. So altered states of consciousness can be a good thing. They can also be a not so good thing. So the first step in looking at that question is to be able to see the difference between a possession and a regression. And believe me, they are different.
I heard a crazy story. I heard a story about back in the day that women, they used to be treated so badly by their husband. Actually, it was in the book How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And he talked about a story about the mental health of like the women. And he said that there was a woman that he actually had interviewed who she was treated so badly by her husband that she developed a character that and in that world, she was a queen. And her name was Queen such and such, and she should be addressed as so. And it's almost like that she developed a break in her own psychology just to be labeled as the queen, because in her real life she was treated like a peasant, right? And so that's that break in like mental health. It was not necessarily a possession, but it, like you said, a regression. So where
listen, you're introducing a third category now. There's possession, regression, and there's also the generation of multiple personalities, and that sounds like what that woman did. If you look at the literature, if you read the literature on demonic possession, which the Catholic Church writes about, 90% of those who are claiming to be possessed by the devil are using that experience to scare away sexual predators within their family.
And there's still okay, right? You did say that, right? So, and they do happen to be like young girls. A lot of girls get possessed, right? Little young girls, right?
You got to watch how you throw that word possess around, because you know most folks just think like something is floating around here just waiting to jump in you. That is not what we're teaching.
Yes, and listen, you can only most, if not all, forms of altered states of consciousness come from the inside out. So it's all but impossible to be possessed by something negative. You can generate an alternate personality that's negative for the purposes of self-defense. You can have a regression which looks negative because it's part of your memory that's experiencing trauma. But there's extreme value in it. That's the whole basis of shamanism in most cultures throughout the world. Shamans are people who can detach their personal consciousness from their physical body and connect to the spirit of other people, and most frequently the spirit of animals. Now, what Nikola Tesla said, the spirit of a bird, gave him his ideas. That sounds crazy. But in Ifa, the mothers of Iami all go into possession of the spirit of a bird, and the spirit of the bird takes them into the realm of the mothers, and in which they gain a lot of information that is helpful for healing, particularly the ability to alter DNA and fix a persistent medical problem.
You know what's crazy is when I actually got a actual healing. It was through sound. Because it was actually Incan shaman healing, and in that I wasn't on any drugs, but in my mind I saw a owl like creature, and whatever I was thinking in that moment, it something came. It was looking at me like it was a bird like creature that looked at me like, girl, you know, and I was like, what the heck was that, right? It was looking at me like, girl, like, what's up? Like, what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Girl, get it together, you know? And when you talk about Iami being a bird like thing, that might have been what that energy was in my manifested in my mind of like whatever it was in my own self, checking myself, like, what are you talking about? Why are you tripping? You know?
Right. In Native American culture, there's what's called a vision quest, where you go out in the mountain, you draw a circle, and you ask for your spirit guide to come and connect with you. So when an animal enters your circle, you grab that animal, you kill it, you eat it, and then the spirit of that animal becomes your guide. You know, we got new age hippy dippy spirit possession of the generic idea of a chipmunk. No, in Native Americans, it's possession by a very specific animal. It's the same way with the birds in Iami. You eat the spirit of a specific bird that's really a bird, and it's a part of the ritual process. So we need to be careful about making stuff up, but this is all very real. I would say birds and possession and altered states of consciousness in the history of life on Earth has been much more prevalent and effective than certainly Western medicine. That's for sure.
You know, I have a question. I'm sorry, because like I said, I've done a lot of things in my spiritual quest. I've taken ayahuasca, and I've done a lot of weird stuff. You know, why do you know why you always see eyeballs? Like, okay,
no, give me some context. I don't always.
Every time I've been in an altered state, whether it be through DMT, ayahuasca, or whatever, I always see something with a bunch of eyeballs, like a bunch of eyes. Like it's something about eyeballs always happens. It's whether they're cartoon eyeballs. But then they said that the seraphim are these angels with a bunch of eyeballs. Now I didn't know that until later on, but I'm like, why do I keep seeing eyeballs whenever I'm in like some? Because I believe that those altered states, whether you're doing weed or you're doing ecstasy, you're doing LSD, you're doing any of those drugs, there is a certain level of possession happening there as well. You're opening yourself up to be possessed, right? And so you might get connected to angels and different. I don't know, but you probably not? Have you ever had any altered states, or maybe you've never seen that type of thing?
Am I ever not in an altered state? That would be ridiculous. Eyeballs are the seat of the soul. That makes some sense. For me, when I go into possession, it's more common for me to see animals. But yeah, there's different visual connections there for sure.
It's always about eyes with me.
When in the peyote ceremonies with my Native American friends, the people in the room all become reptiles every time.
Maybe that's their true form. Can't hear your voice. Talk a little louder.
I think you're right.
I think that's their true form, but he got kicked out again. So, but and I was gonna say, so do you think that, like, okay, when you go into I know you said you wanted to end this, and we're all right.
We're good. We keep going.
But when you go into like music and clubs, if you talk about like the when you go into like actual types of music, the club, taking alcohol, taking in weed, these different substances, cocaine, whatever, and then you go into a club environment, music environment, and they call alcohol spirits, right?
Excuse me, beloved. I am constantly blanking in and out of this conversation, and it's getting pretty frustrating. Um, I would like to respectfully bow out and continue this at a later date, if possible.
Yeah, we're gonna come back on Friday, but we're gonna still talk because I got some questions. So, hey, Dr. Ianifa.
Because this is touching an area that I'm really excited about, to where it goes into um, the energy of the Orishas.
Right. Well, I was actually talking about like the club, like when you go to the nightclub and you have the music playing and you have the drinks and you have the alcohol, you have the people are taking all type of substances. They're sexually charged. All these things are going on. The music is hitting different frequencies. What exactly is it? Does that can that cause people to be possessed? Then
Yes, that is, yeah. Let me answer that question. That is possession. I've been a jazz musician, believe it or not, since I was 7 years old. First time I went to a bimbe and saw possession, my thought was, oh, that's a good jazz solo. Sign me up. I'm in. This is good. I get it. There is, in fact, an ancestor shrine in Nigeria to the deified spirit of John Coltrane, the great jazz musician from America. So, yes, it's all the same thing. Altered states for making music, altered states for painting paintings, altered states for making sculpture, altered states for sports. Have you seen Michael Jordan play basketball? That ain't right. That ain't human. Whatever possessed him was borderline airborne, So accessing streams of consciousness outside of our normal experience is what gives humans extraordinary ability, creativity, compassion, and depth. We have a brother, Baba knows him well. Ron, Ron? Ron
Yes.
was a veteran of the Afghanistan war. And he said he was walking up some steps and somebody threw a hand grenade at him and he caught it and it blew up. The hand grenade just went kaboom. It killed 2 or 3 people around him and he wasn't scratched. And the reason for that is he went into an altered state in which the explosion did not affect his physical body. So we know that's a real phenomenon. We're just not familiar with it. People laugh and giggle and get uncomfortable with the conversation. But if we're going to evolve as human beings, we need to understand that more. I believe that there was a group of ETs who came to Earth and shut down those abilities in humanity. And we need to claim the right to reopen those abilities and not be subject to their control.
That's where we get into altered states again. I've heard that even in like Haiti, that there's people that they do a certain thing and then you could shoot a gun at them and the gun won't even pierce their skin.
That's true in Yoruba culture. It's also true in Native American culture. If you know the true story of Custer's Last Stand, cavalry came over the hill. There was 200 soldiers, and they were met with a line of 5,000 Native American warriors on horseback. So they freaked and went up the hill. Crazy Horse rode after him by himself, went up to the top of the hill, got off his horse, put his arms out, let everybody empty their guns. He wasn't scratched. He said, "You're going to have to do better than that." He rode down the hill and told the warriors to go home and had the women come up and finish the battle.
Well, welcome, Dr. Ianifa Falua Otunbi. Welcome to the channel. Does she want to say something?
Alafia.
Alafia.
Ia is one of the elder mothers of our family. If anybody listening to this is interested in initiation, we're extremely affordable. And Ia is the go-to person to set that up, arrange it, and get the details. Ia, do you want to, can we see your contact information there? So
I can put it in the chat.
That'll work. And so we're grateful to you. Listen, we've got some things we're going to talk about over the next few weeks, but also Iya is helping me put together an 8-week course on the Egbe Iyami Osharanga. We're going to do that over the next 8 Sundays. You're welcome to reproduce any of those lectures on your network here, and I'm inviting everybody to come. It's all free and easily available. And so we're going to do something. We need to figure out kind of a program for you and I and Baba and Iya and a few others during the same time frame so we don't duplicate each other's work here. But we'll figure it out. Not to worry. I enjoy talking about Ifa. There's plenty of interest. And if you want to know how to engage in the healing aspect of what we do, Iya is your go-to person. She's got a program called Bliss, in which, people look at initiation and think of it as a healing process. It can be, but it's not meant to be. So healing is different than initiation. And Dr. Camilla is very clear about that. She's very good at noting the differences, and she's got a very, very effective program for clearing away childhood trauma. So I'm grateful to her for her support of the work we do in Egbe Iwa Pele. Yeah, thank you. Good to see you here, and let's make it all work.
All right. So, did you want to address the audience and say?
Yes, please. Yeah, come on and talk to us. Tell us about your Bliss program. You're not dressed. You can't get. No, I'm sorry.
Remember, my son just came in, and so we're doing that. But I will say that if anyone is interested, right, and you're looking at initiations and different things like that, or just getting to a place where you are the author of how your life is moving and not the trauma that you've experienced, you can reach out to me, and we can connect and have the conversations around what it's going to take in order for you to begin to create the life that you say that you want to create. Because I think one of the things, and I know within you all's conversation, Baba has mentioned it already, is that, when we go into initiation, right, whatever is going on in your life is going to be there once you come out of the grove as well. The initiation wakes us up. It pops open all the channels and different things via my own, understanding, right, of what's happening. And so that opens you up to make it where you're better able to receive those healing modalities that Ifa has for us in order to clear those things. But be very sure that the work still has to happen, right? The work still has to happen. We still have to take the reins of our own lives and begin to look at how we're moving through what the trauma is and how it has affected us, right? And so if anyone is willing, right, because we have to be willing to have that conversation and take ownership, feel free to reach out. I dropped my email in the chat because that'll be the easiest way to get in touch with me. And if anyone is in a position they may be ready, my Ile Ogun Bbemi will be hosting initiations in July, the 8th through the 14th. You can use that same email address to inquire about that and see how we can all begin to get in a space to where we really understand and begin to cultivate the true meaning and essence of community. And thank you so very much for allowing me to share my voice. And I look forward to, being in this space again, because I'm always open to learning and communicating and sharing with others. May you all have a wonderful day.
Right. So thank you for being here. So we're gonna wrap this show up. We're gonna give some final words from everybody. And then we're gonna come back on next Friday, and we're gonna talk about possession, and we're gonna bring brother Ogun Bbemi to get to actually do that when he's not traveling, so that we'll be able to hear without getting interrupted. But I'm just happy to have him here so that we can really look forward to something coming up next Friday. Final words, guys. Let's start with Ifa. Okay, I think she might not be ready. Okay, let's start. Go ahead, brother Ogun Bbemi. Let's hear final words from you.
Well, I would like to say thank you, everybody. I'm sorry I wasn't able to give out as much as I would like to, but just know that you are a walking ancestor, and that your lineage has your back, and they're in you. And every day they're looking for an opportunity to elevate. Shay?
Hey. All right. So Baba, is there any final words from you?
Yeah, I just knocked over everything on my desk. Give me a second.
Oh man, well, this has been an interesting day, guys. We have been trying to eke through this live. The first few minutes of it was on Facebook. It didn't even do the intro. I mean, it's been an interesting day today, But
here's what I want to say.
Go ahead.
I think Ifa embraces wisdom that's going to allow us to get through the crisis we are in, not the coming crisis, the crisis we are in. And we need to do it without the ooey spookies. We need to do it without denigrating each other. We need to not make judgments. Really, the key to understand Ifa is good character. And good character is rooted in a really simple idea. If you want to understand Ifa and you want to experience it, then you need to focus on being nice to others. It's that simple. Anytime you're not nice to others, you're probably making life too difficult for yourself and for that person. Being nice to people is the foundation for making life worthwhile. I'm out.
Odabo.
Odabo, guys.
Odabo.
Just when I thought I couldn't find my way out, yeah, I searched the God in me to find my way out. I know it can seem way out, but the Creator flows to and through me from way out. I'm talking way out, yeah. See if you believe in the God in you, it's a better place.